I have made quite a few mistakes with my Starrel account. I'm aware of this. I know there are a million things I could have done, characters you could have pulled for, characters I shouldn't have pulled for. However, this current Memory of Chaos in Apocalyptic Shadow cycle is truly making me realise that I'm not prepared for the current state of power creep and HP inflation. I feel free to play during my Starrel career. Granted, I missed about a year from 1.1 to 2.1. I've got about 15 limited 5-star characters in Lycons. Were they all smart decisions? No. Do I regret or not regret getting characters? Of course. Were there some I should have pulled for? Again, of course. But that goes without saying. It's the average FOMO experience of a gacha game. It's inevitable. Your luck is bad, you lose 50-50, you stop playing. It's all things that are going to happen with the cycle of a gacha game. Without money, you're not guaranteed to get everything you want, unless you save up for a while and forego other things. But that's not my problem I have, that's just how gacha games go, that's how the cookie crumbles. As a player who only really pulls for characters I enjoy during this story, I hate feeling forced to pull for a character who, though I don't like them, the team I'm building is like night and day without them, like Jiaocho. Or it's when a character I do like is upcoming, but then something else to completely eclipse them. For example, Cypher. Like, I loved her story, but 3.4 heralded the fake collab and Finon. I keep mentioning Acheron's premium support because that is genuinely some of the main problems I'm dealing with. And it's really been the catalyst for me making this video. Like with E2 Acheron, I should at least be able to clear some of the main content within a reasonable amount of cycles. But hell, without either of the main two supports, Silver Wolf, Xiaocho, or Cypher, and we're just running an E6 Paler with pretty good speed, everything about the Paler is fine, I'm still unable to clear the current Memory of Chaos. And it's really sad because Acheron is one of my favourite characters in this game. I got E2 Acheron because I really wanted to main her for an extended period of time, longer than a year. Now, there are a few glaring issues with Starro's endgame. Not only is there clear and obvious HP inflation, but I think the real issue is the blessings and the enemy design contributing to the feeling that everything's getting harder. The new characters are thrust into the spotlight and given everything possible they can in order to succeed, whereas characters who were in the spotlight have everything designed around them and have faded out the limelight, feel like they're just cut at the ankles. And there are so many examples of this I can give as well. The most current mock, the mock as I'm writing this, is built for maybe Finon. I love Finon, but it really feels quite grim that the only character that really benefits from the most recent blessing is the most recent character. This happened previously with Castrix, and it happened with Break, it happened with Hurter, it happened with everyone, and it feels really, really grim. Hell, this is even present in Apocalyptic Shadow and Pure Fiction, though it doesn't feel as awful, as you have multiple different choices. With the recent emergence of the wheelchair meta in Starrail, there's a great video that I'll link in the description, and the supporters being able to, and being now expected to deal a ridiculous amount of damage, with the trend that started with rather restrained and restrictive characters like Robin and Adventuring, still had some pretty okay damage but was limited to who they could truly support and shine with, and it was Lingsha who only really genuinely thrived in break teams. However, as an evolution of this, and Hoyoverse constantly trying to one-up themselves, there are some now insane supports who are able to output a crazy amount of damage on their own. It seems like an evolution of follow-up attacks without everything that made that playstyle balanced. Tribby and Haikyun are two of the main problem children. With crazy synergy with each other and a small roster of HCP scalers, it really doesn't matter. The damage they can and will output is ridiculous. This goes even further with either one Tribby, as she would provide an amount of true damage comparable to Remember Trailblazer's entire kit. Both units I don't have a crazy amount of personal experience with, because I don't personally own them. Besides, I've always had a bias towards hyper carry setups, so, I don't really have much of a ground to stand on. But the support's doing more damage, leading to this foul cycle, which really needs to get under control before it goes out of control. More damage means the endgame becomes easier to clear, which means HP inflates, which means characters need to do more damage, and so on. This segues very nicely to the next point of HP inflation. It's been a pretty controversial topic in style at the moment, because it's getting to a really noticeable and bad point. There are many graphs and infographics showing how bad it is. Hell, they had to buff up some of the older characters who just couldn't clear at all. Like, and good on them, to be fair. Like, I completely agree. This should happen to more characters. Kilo Genuine, though Genuine is a bit of an anomaly because he keeps getting better. And even some of the 2.x DPS are really starting to show their wear in comparison to the new 3.0 units. Now, I'm not explicitly against enemies having high HP. Some of them, it makes sense they should have more HP than some of the enemies. Like, True Sting, the Dinosaurs, Nikador, the Fury Praetors, Flame Reaver. All of them make sense to have more health, because they take extra damage. This should like be a common through line, right? Wrong. This isn't the rule at all. There's one enemy in particular which I have a big bone to pick. It's the bane of my existence, and it's probably the bane of your existence too. That fucking horse. Why does it have 1.4 million health? There's so much more than he needs. He has effectively the same amount of health as the guy next to him, who takes a bunch of damage every hit. Like, and gives you a bunch of energy. He has a shit ton of toughness, far too much health. It's like, it makes sense when he's next to this thing, because when he gets this thing, he can clear the little edge, and he takes a bunch of damage. This makes sense. However, like, I feel like the first wave of the current mock takes me longer to clear because of that horse. Like, the horse is just constantly alive, even if I am targeting him the entire time. I know I'm ranting a little bit more, and he's not the worst enemy. There are worse enemies in the game, but the way they've set up, it makes it feel quite awful. And it's a far cry again when he's with True Sting, because you can effectively ignore him. I think the crux of this issue is that most of the 3.x characters, though I love them, really feel like more of a product than something you're supposed to build and main. With a seemingly predatory practice of releasing a DPS in a seemingly unfinished state, then following up with a best-in-slot support that fixes most of the issues the character will have. For example, minor spoilers for the 3.5 league, that Sager solves one of Fighting's biggest problems, and that being his limited action value. Being able to copy his skill effectively for free, giving him a huge burst of damage, is absolutely bonkers. And it will be a huge step up for him, for his entire count. Like, with and without, I imagine will be night and day. Though, personally, because I don't know if I'm pulling for Sager, really hope that's not the case. Now, after all of this, how will I go about my personal account? I'm convinced that Akron is effectively dead in the water until I probably pull for either Strife or Xiaocho. But even then, I don't know if it'll be a massive increase. Castro has been really struggling for me, at least without Tribby. My final is doing incredibly, but I'm really worried about how long that'll last. Without Shadra, I really hope he does last, but I'm not optimistic. Final took quite a few pulls for me, so I've only got about 150 left. My current goal is Saber, ideally. From there, I might get Tribby or Sunday S1, but realistically, I'll have no pulls by then, and it's not even guaranteed for me to get Saber either, so I'm probably just going to save up again. Besides, I've really enjoyed Amphoria. The 3.4 story has been absolutely incredible. I've loved every part about it, but I'm a little bit skeptical of the future. Hell, I know two people who aren't going to put any more money into the game because they really lost interest with how the end game's going. They felt really demotivated by it all. But yeah, I've got really nothing else to say. Let me know your experiences with how everything in the end game's going for you. I'd love to know. But yeah, take care.